Ecuador is a strong team, is a relatively strong team. It's not very experienced in certain positions. Now, the experience that they're getting in this World Cup is going to be invaluable. The experience that they acquired in the World Cup qualifying in South America was even more invaluable towards them. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about a national team that, uh, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, during the middle of the pandemic, there was a poll done by some
Mhm.
Ecuadorian newspapers about what are the chances of Ecuador qualifying for the World Cup. I think it was something like 95% saying none. Mind you,
Yeah.
keep in mind that Jordi Cruyff takes over
Mhm.
in February, March of 2020, ends up resigning 7 months later. There was not one practice, there was not one game. Obviously, the pandemic had a lot to do with it,
Mhm.
but there was very little done by Cruyff in order to do anything to upgrade the situation at Ecuador. They go and hire a coach that was so improbable that in some cases, many were even looking at as very maligned because of the way he left Boca, well,
Mm.
Boca Juniors, just a few months earlier in Gustavo Alfaro. He ends up becoming the Ecuadorian national team coach. And also, he had a great transformation in terms of uh, bringing in youth players, bringing in younger players, seeing Ecuadorian sides begin to foment and really empower younger players. One team that really did that a great deal in Ecuador is Independiente del Valle. That's where Moises Caicedo came from. You have a lot of young players that have come out of that side. And maybe it doesn't have the glamour of a Flamengo. Maybe it doesn't have the River Plate and Boca and Palmeiras panache. But it's
Mhm.
a team that has been slowly constructing itself and making itself a perennially uh, con- competitive team. Very limited funds, but still have been very resourceful in what they've been able to do. Really been competitive, especially at the younger levels. They've
Mhm.
won the Libertadores at the under 20 level. They've been very competitive within South American football. So a lot of that has to do with what some teams, not every team, but some teams like Independiente del Valle have been able to truly establish themselves in how they've been able to do things. They just won the
So
Sudamericana.
how did he?
Uh,
How did they turn? How did he turn it around for the Ecuador team? In terms
well,
of he got
so
the youth in, but what exactly were the other changes he brought about?
he brought about a different mentality. He brought in, he demanded more competitiveness. He looked to bring in the younger players for exactly that reason, and the younger players of the Ecuadorian national team end up really supplanting what was the, I guess,
Mhm.
status quo of the national team. So that competitiveness ends up offering experience. The matches that they played offered them experience. You have a very dynamic group of young players that are emerging out of this, out of all of this. You
Mm.
have a player that in central defense, you have Pierre Incapie, who had a good run over at Bayer Leverkusen. Another one that plays for Seattle Sounders that does have a great potential to go to Europe, and Xavier Arriaga.
Mm.
Like I said before, Moises Caicedo. Ener Valencia ends up being the elder statesman up top for Ecuador. So you have some interesting players, and really a philosophy of play that offers a bit more pressure, a bit more security in the back, but more importantly, a lot of dynamic going down the wings.